So how did you try and rationalize it in a young mind, what you saw?
You know, I can't say that I ever rationalized it. That's the sad part. A child who is not heard or understood or properly introduced to these subjects, which are other than the normal day-to-day, there really isn't any way to rationalize it other than every year it was still happening to me. I was hearing a voice talk to me, telling me things, protecting me, guiding me, giving me really valuable information and instruction. And I'm like, well, don't the other kids hear it? So when I was 16 and I was in, high school, I asked one of my friends for the very first time, I said, what do you do when that male voice comes to you and talks to you and tells you, what you should be doing? And the girl looked at me and she goes, what are you talking about? And I went, oh yeah, I'm just kidding. And then I thought, oh my God, I really am like this nut. What's going on? And so then I thought, well, gee, is it that really somehow something is wrong with me? And then it just kept happening. And I was seeing demonics. I was seeing angelic. I was seeing extraterrestrial. I was seeing spirits. And I thought, okay, I don't get it. And I'll just keep my mouth shut. But when I was 27 and the craft appeared to me, that was the turning point in my entire life. I then knew I'm not nuts. They just aren't informed. I am hearing. They just aren't hearing. I am seeing and experiencing. They just aren't. Why? I don't know. So the bigger question was, why aren't they all getting it? Why am I getting it? But then the good news came. 30 years later, when I finally shared the story, because there was no way in God's green earth I was going to share that story about what happened to me when I was 27 years old, and the extraterrestrial ship was parked right up over the railroad tracks. If at that point in my life, I thought if I shared it, I would probably be labeled a real kook. But now within myself, I knew. Because let me tell you something, when your eyes see that craft and you see that tall white extraterrestrial, there are no words. Mm-hmm. There are no words.
Well, can you share that story with us?
Sure. It started one evening coming home late from work. I left work about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was working a night shift so my husband could work a day shift because we had 2 young boys. And so I left my job at about 2. And it's a good 20-minute drive if you're going really fast. And I was going really fast. And I got to my neighborhood. And as I was coming down 28th Street North in St. Petersburg, Florida, there is a railroad tracks there by a street called Morris Street. And right above the railroad tracks, as I'm getting closer to this thing, I'm seeing something and I'm going, is that a train? And it wasn't a train. And I thought, geez, I can see all the way under it. And there's no, big round, things attached to the railroad. And I thought, that thing's floating. And the next thing I know, my car shut off. And then it rolled up to it and stopped about under 100 and like maybe 70 feet. And the car was like shut off. And I'm thinking, oh crap, you got to be kidding me. And I thought, my God, what is that? So then I was mesmerized by it. And I'm looking out, I was in a Honda Civic, and I'm looking out the window of this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, God, Teri, whatever you do, don't get out of the car. And I no sooner said that out loud, and my hand was reaching for the car door to open the door. And I thought, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I'm having this internal mental battle. And it's like my common sense was telling me don't, but my whole physical being was doing. The next thing I knew, I was holding on to the door jamb of the window of this Honda Civic, and I'm staring at this thing going, oh my God, that thing's gorgeous. And I'm like, how can this be? It's not real. This is comic book entertainment. This is, this is not real, but it was. And so then I'm looking at this blue light going very slowly right through the center of this thing. This is the most amazing blue white light. It was gorgeous. And in 1979, you didn't have that type of technology to do anything like that. So this was new to me, and I just stood there looking at it. I was mesmerized. I have no idea how long I stood there looking at it, but I thought, wow, that thing is gorgeous. And it was, later I went back and measured it. It was 41 feet long. Now height, I don't know, but it was pretty tall. I mean, I'm going to say maybe 6 feet tall and 42 feet wide. Now that's big.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept looking around everywhere, like, where's somebody else? Where's somebody else? Where's another car? And of course, there was no one on the road. And of course, in 1979 at, 2:30 in the evening, there's not going to be a lot of people on the road in a little city called St. Petersburg, Florida. And it was known as Wrinkle City, the old people's retirement city. And I stood there, and the next thing I knew, staring at this thing, this huge blue light came from the right side, and there was a big open field to the right of where these railroad tracks went near Morris Street. And it's still the very same way today. I go back all the time and stand there to connect. And this big, huge blue light came. I mean, it was massive. It was the size of maybe a semi-trailer, it was huge. And as I turned to look at it, I saw something in the light coming forward, and I thought, oh, no way, no way. God, you've got to be kidding. That can't be real. And as I'm looking at this thing, it has this huge head, very, very thin body, long arms, way too long to be human, way too long. They're hitting the knee area. And I'm like, oh my God. And I thought, holy crap, is that thing ugly? So I closed my eyes and I said, don't look at it, don't look at it, don't look at it. And I was trying to pretend I wasn't seeing what was actually happening. And so then as I was looking down, the most bizarre thing happened. I noticed I'm not standing on the ground. I am not on the roadway. I'm like I'm going to say maybe 2 feet above the road. I've been raised right straight up off the street. And I thought, oh my God. And I wiggled my feet, and sure enough, no roadway under my shoes. And then I thought, what's going on? And so then I was literally concerned, and I was asking God, please, God, please. And I said, what's going on? I said, I don't understand this. I don't know what to think. And I heard the voice say to me, there is so much you do not understand. And I thought, oh my God, there's so much I don't understand. So the next thing I knew, I was going in.
Plays ball. Here we go. Go.
Okay, so as I was heading towards this extraterrestrial, which I didn't want to look at, I kept trying to close my eyes, and I kept saying, no, Lord, I don't want to see that. It was so ugly, so uncommon to see such a being, like nothing I had ever seen, of course. And I was frightened, but the being seemed to be calming me somehow, which I thought was very weird. I was feeling anxious, but then as I was moving closer to it, there was a calming coming, but I didn't want anything to do with it. So I kept looking away and looking away. And I was floating. I was not walking. And then I realized there was another craft behind that big, huge blue light that I had not seen in the beginning. And that's impossible because, see, when I first saw the first one hovered over the railroad tracks, I had looked to my right and my left to see if there was anybody else around. It wasn't there then. But then all of a sudden now, boom, it's there. And I'm headed towards it. And so this tall, I say white because the blue white light was coming right straight through him. I didn't know what he was. I had never seen it before. So in my own mind, I'm making it up. Oh, that's some tall white thing, you know, and very tall. And so as I passed him, I thought, okay, he'll probably stay outside, but where am I going? And then boom, I was like, my mind closed down. It was like I fell asleep. I must have been like right next to him when that touched me, maybe some, I don't know. I have no memory of that. But the next thing I know is I'm inside another craft, that other craft. And I'm sure I was going to the right, not straight forward to the one hovered. And so as I'm awakened, all of a sudden, I must have been fighting it all. I was laying down in this amazingly clean environment, like an ultra sterile environment. And everything was pure white. Light was coming from the walls, from the ceiling, from the floor, even from what I was on. Everything that was there had light coming through it, which, okay, I had never seen that before. And so now I'm thinking, okay, what happens now? And I remember looking down at my feet and I saw my little sandals on my feet. And I thought, okay, I still have my shoes on. And I thought, but why am I laying down? And it was all very, I was distraught to a degree, mostly confused. And I saw that I still had my work uniform on. And I thought, okay, you know, I'm dressed, I'm okay, I'm okay. And that's kind of what I just kept saying to myself. And then I noticed the tall white was over here and there were two small grays down by my ankles. One actually was touching me now.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, what the heck is that? And again, I was like, this can't be real. And he had his 4 fingers, and that's all that was on that hand was 4 fingers. And they were holding my left ankle. And I thought, oh my God, they think I'm going to run. And then I looked up at this one, and without him using a mouth at all, he said to me, and I heard him in a male voice say, "We will not take you. We will not hurt you." And I thought, take me? Take me where? And I mean, the whole thing was just so bizarre. And so the next thing I know, I was out. And what I had seen with my eyes was all I could remember. And then I was awake again. And now I'm standing in front of my Honda Civic. And I'm facing the craft that's hovered over the railroad tracks. And it's still there. And I'm looking around again. Where is everybody? Not one tree limb was, we have palm trees, not one limb was moving. Everything was quiet. I couldn't hear the interstate, which was not far. I couldn't hear the cars. I couldn't hear anything. And I thought, what am I, in a bubble? I couldn't hear anything. And you know, there's always bugs in Florida. You can always hear crickets. You can always hear something, dogs barking, cat, nothing. And so I thought, it's like I'm in some kind of a special place. I hope I don't lose you again. My internet keeps talking to me. But at any rate, the next thing I knew, I was just standing there looking at the first one that I saw. My car was still off. My door was still open. I'm standing in front of this and I'm looking at this one, and something so bizarre, Dean, so bizarre happened. I screamed out almost as if begging, "Don't leave me, please don't leave me here." And I went, "What? What did you say?" And I thought, why did you say that? Oh my God. And it really was disgusting in a sense to me. It was like, why would you say that? And then the next thing you know, I'm doing it again. I'm saying, "Please, whatever you do, don't leave me." And I felt like they were going to leave. And I kept begging, just out loud, in the middle of the street. And I thought, why am I saying this? 2 minutes ago, I wouldn't even look at that thing. I'm scared out of my mind. And what is going on? And I was pleading now not to leave me. And I even said out loud, which is bizarre, I said, aren't I good enough? Why are you leaving me? Why would you leave me here again? And I thought, oh, what's going on? This is so sickening. I don't get it. You know, none of it made any sense. And with that extraterrestrial craft was like this. It went boom. It went completely sideways. It did a complete 360, and now it was 100% vertical. And I just went, oh my God, it happened so fast. My eyes didn't register it. Now, how could something that big and that heavy flip that fast? And none of it, again, was making sense, because I kept trying to make sense of what I was seeing. And the next thing I knew, I'm standing there begging like a fool, don't leave me, don't leave me. And sure enough, I feel like I'm talking to this thing and it's talking back to me. And in there, we will not hurt you, we will not take you. So whatever data dump they gave me had completely changed my mind. As a human soul, I was now a different soul than before I went in there. And then it was like this, and it shot up about 500 feet in the air and came to a dead stop. And again, I pleaded, please come back, don't leave me. It was like my words were falling on deaf ears. And then as the craft was like this, a huge ball of fire, actual fire, came out from the belly of it like this and was radiating. And it was the size of the bottom of this craft. And it was just, you could hear the snap and the pop of the fire in this thing. An electrical charge, a very powerful hearing, you could hear it. And I was like, oh no, I mean, what, I don't want to get burned up, but what's going on? And that was concerning. But then I had this amazing peace, and I thought, no, I'm not going to get burned up. And the next thing I know, off that fast, gone. They headed towards the Gulf of Mexico, and they went so fast, it was like 1 second they were there, and with the blink of an eye, they were gone. And nowhere in sight, they went that fast. So I stood there in the road, just shocked and going, what just happened?